All right, welcome to something a little bit different on Gas Under Pressure. We're actually doing something live out in the country in an undisclosed location in East Texas. And we're at a little deer camp out here and some other fellow collectors, so I figured we'd shoot a little bit of video and talk about what it is that they've got, what is special to them, and how they ran across it. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks out there.
My name's Jason. I'm just a regular old lantern collector.
Fair enough. So what do you have here? Where'd you end up finding this?
Well, this is a Coleman model 242B.
Okay.
Many years ago, when I was a teenager, we was at a garage sale. And me and Dad were eyeballing this on a shelf, and the old man said he'd take $3 for it. Dad had never seen a nickel-plated lantern before, neither had I.
Right, yep.
And so we took it home, and he stuck it on a shelf. And the more I dug into lanterns and finding out about them and moved out, and I finally found enough parts to get it running again.
Right.
And eventually he gave it to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I've mostly just keep it up, you know. I'll take it down there once in a while and light it. You know,
Yep.
I got other runners, but you know, I guess that's really the one that started the rabbit hole as far as collecting goes. And
No, it's good. Yeah, I mean it's in really, really nice shape. What year is this one? You know?
I don't really.
Oh, this one doesn't have any
notice the
stampings or
numbers,
nothing?
You know, they put them
Yeah.
on the bottom,
Yeah.
and it's a 1 of 3, so that's
Okay.
probably a 43.
Yep. Yep. Probably so.
January of 43.
Well, cool. So, what other ones are special to you? Any other ones that you like to focus on or looking for? Actually, there you go. What's the next Grail lantern that you're looking for?
Probably Forestry Service.
All right. Yeah. Very
Because
cool.
of the fire department background.
Right.
But I've always been real quaint to those.
Well, very good. All right. Well, hey, thanks for bringing this out and sharing this with us. Didn't get it really. I was going to bring this in a little bit closer so people can kind of see exactly, what it looks like. And yeah, it's in really, really nice shape. I mean, it's a little dusty, but that's all right. You know.
Patina, man.
Patina, exactly. Anyway, so that's the 242B. Well, thanks for bringing it out.
Thank you.
All right, and now on Gas Under Pressure, we got our next guest here. And Robert, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit and how you got into Coleman collecting.
I'm Robert Shelton, and I guess the whole thing started when I bought a lantern at a garage sale from a friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
I just saw him, and I stopped, and I saw this brown 275 lantern, and I was intrigued by it because I'd never seen a brown lantern. And anyway, before it was over with, I left there with the lantern, got it running real easy, and decided to research a little bit, and the research just led me down a rabbit hole. And, I just saw, there was a lot of people collecting lanterns, and it seemed like they're having a lot of fun with it. And then I met some other people collecting and went to a lantern gathering in Corsicana, Texas, and just been hooked ever since. It's a really fun hobby.
Yeah, I know. I kind of fell in the same kind of rabbit hole like that too. It's really interesting. You'll find one and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this a whole lot, and you end up with that. So, what example have you got here for us today?
Well, this is an old 237 kerosene lantern that you might say I saved. The fount was bad on it, and I had another lantern that had a lot of other problems, so I took the tank off of it, and I put the 237 burner on it and just made a good runner out of it. You can see it's not pristine, but it's a great runner. But I let it run out of pressure last night when I wasn't paying attention to it and was working on something else, and the mantel's kind of carboned up on it, but it's burning clean here. It'll be bright later.
Yeah, I can see how it's been shrinking a little bit here. So, yeah, for the folks out there who do carbon their mantles and they say, oh, man, is it ruined? And do I have to throw it away? Do I put another one on there? You honestly don't. You can just start it like this and let it run, and it will eventually burn off. Or if you're in a hurry, you can hit it with a propane torch, and it'll take all of that carbon off really quick. But it'll also be a really bright process, so you might want to wear some sunglasses. So I guess with this, I mean, have you what's your as Jason previously is saying, what's your next one? What's your kind of grail lantern? What are you actually kind of trying to look for?
I guess as far as a holy grail, one of my favorite lanterns would be to find would be a 235 Carousel. And when you do find them, usually they're very expensive. But I've got a 234, and that's I don't usually just pick pieces that I have to have in my collection. I leave a lot of it to fate. But there's a part of me that would really like to have a 235.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And are you a Stovey?
I am not a Stovey.
Okay. None of us are.
That's right.
That's right. All right, Robert. Well, thanks much. And actually, we're actually here sitting out on his property out here. So we've been kind of making a little bit of fire and having a little bit of food and having a good time, and really appreciate you getting out here and getting a chance to let other people see what kind of trouble we get into.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie that comes with the lanterns.
Yep, yeah, for sure. And that's a thing, a very common theme I hear, right? That you get such great friendships as a result of being in this kind of group.
Yeah, you hear a lot of people talking about friendship through the light, and I think it's a very real thing. There's just a lot of camaraderie and close brotherhoods that are formed through this hobby, for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks so much for bringing this out, and so everyone else can take a look at it and see too. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back to this next segment here. Today, we've got Rick here with us, and what do you got?
Well, this here is a Princess Warburg. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a L46S, affectionately known as the Brown Bomber, and very, very reliable, very robust lantern. This is probably my favorite lantern, even though I strictly collect Coleman stuff.
Right, yeah.
But this, for some reason, just has a very Art Deco look and feel to it. It's just reliable. I light it up every day in my shop. This is lit.
Yeah, and it's just, I love the design on it because it's just like, it's big, heavy, and chunky, and
very
it just
30s.
Looks, yeah, it's just, it's like bigger than it needs to be. But,
absolutely, it's very heavy too. It's got some.
Yeah,
some
you
weight.
look at this as like 1/8 inch or better a steel bale on it. You're like, my God,
crazy. And what I did find out about this is a lot of guys, they'll remove the vent nut, and this actually comes around, and a lot of people put it this way as a reflector and leave this open. I've never done it, but I've seen some cats do it. So
okay,
I've never knew that before, and this actually comes right off. You just kind of press it.
Okay.
But it's a real cool lantern. This I got from Johnny Turavel. We did a swap. I always wanted one of these, and Johnny wanted a Coleman 160, the only kerosene lamp they made as far as wick type.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And he wanted that, and I wanted this, and we came to an agreement at one of the actually it was in Corsicana, one of the gatherings, and struck a deal, and he got his and I got mine. And this is a Rob Butts reproduction mica, and I really like the lighting hole, kind of Macbeth type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's really reliable. He does excellent work on these.
Yeah, the mic on it just looks awesome. And so he even supplied, you didn't have to supply like the...
No, he did it.
Really?
Yeah, he does fantastic work. We used to get all our mica from Fred Kuntz.
Yeah.
He retired. I don't, gosh, I hope I haven't heard anything about him. I hope he's doing well. But Robert Butts took over the mica manufacturing, and he does excellent work.
Very, very cool. So, what's next? You got any other ones on that you'd really like to find?
Actually, no, I don't. I'm actually kind of downsizing right now. I got into this. My good friend Hank Rogish, he should be here momentarily.
Yeah.
It's funny. We work together as aircraft technicians, and one day he comes into work, and he has a Coleman lantern, and great story.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy cow, what's that? I haven't seen one of those in ages. He says, oh, I'm doing this. He does a lot of church gatherings, and he does a lot of things. He does barbecues and things like that. And
Yep.
He has a pig roast every year for
nice.
Ascension Thursday. And I was like, man, I haven't seen one of those since I was a kid. You know, my dad and Scouts, of course.
Right, yeah.
And I got hooked, man. It was like, and we had a lot of fun. And we went to our first Coleman gathering in Coleman, Texas.
Right, okay.
Which was really nice.
Yeah.
Robert wasn't there, unfortunately,
Oh,
Robert
right.
Sheldon.
Right.
But we had a great time. We met some wonderful, wonderful people. We met a dear friend, Kelly Powell. Unfortunately, he passed, and everyone misses him dearly.
Yeah.
But, from then on, man, I was hooked, man. I bought every lantern I could find, of course, a
Right.
newbie.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
every 220 I saw, and the Sears and all that. And then I just started to downscale. My niche right now, I love Art Deco stuff. I love this.
Yeah.
I'm not into Prentice Warber, just this one model.
Yeah.
But I'm really into like, the aisles and the, I love PQ and BQ.
Yeah,
The bracket and the
chandelier,
chandelier.
yep.
Got one of those. Lamps I just gave Robert, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And I got one for Hank. I
Yep.
gave Robert a housewarming gift for the deer camp
Yep.
cabin. But yeah, nothing really. If I bring one more lantern, I don't have. I think I have probably about 75 lanterns and
Yep.
lamps,
Yep.
and I think that's good enough. But I tend to only light certain ones, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
I got one up there, the Christmas lantern, the 200.
Yeah.
It's an August 51. That's one of my favorites. That I always like.
Yeah.
But other than that, all the other stuff is pretty much collecting dust. My 242s, all that other stuff
Yeah.
is just sitting there.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
No, I hear you on that. I mean, I think everyone almost follows a very similar arc. They get into it, they buy every single common they find.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, oh gosh, how do we get rid of these commons? And you go to
You
the
start
other,
giving them out.
right, yeah, or looking for unlocked cars,
Yeah.
or other collectors like, hey, you want? They're like, no, I've already got 220s. Thanks.
I've actually had a guy. I was in my garage, my shop the
Yeah.
other day, and this guy came up. Hey, you're the lantern guy. I got, and I got 2 good globes. I got a good 200A globe, and I
Yeah.
got a good 220 globe, and then I got a what was it? A AGM vent that was absolutely cherry.
Nice,
I mean, it's gorgeous.
nice.
And I think they fit on the 242s.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure. I don't know. I got to fiddle with it.
Yeah, I have to see. Well, hey, thanks a lot for bringing this out and sharing it with everyone here on the channel. It's a really beautiful example. I love
Thank you.
I mean, I've seen this thing a couple of times, and every time I see it, I'm like, oh man, this is just awesome. So, really good stuff. Appreciate you taking a few minutes out to talk to us.
My pleasure.
All right, thanks.
All righty.
Hey everyone. So our next guest here in a string of many is Johnny Turbeville. So, Johnny, what have you brought out for us today?
Well, today I brought out a 1 month only 10 of 63 low vent 202 professional, and next to it is a 1 of 55 very early model 202 that is a presentation lantern given out by Sheldon Coleman, who ran the company at the time, to a man that was a top salesman, exceeded sales expectations, things of that nature, and was presented a lantern for it with his name engraved by Sheldon Coleman, etc. And those are somewhat rare finds that got neat history to them because they were presented to people that exceeded expectations by the company and were rewarded for it.
Well, very cool. So, the low vent there, that's something that not a lot of people know about, huh?
I would assume so, and they're very sought after, and with it being a 1 month only, it's pretty hard to find one.
Yep. I actually ran across one too. Yours is in just like stunning shape. I can't get over how clean the nickel is on both of these. It just looks amazing. So, as there's really something to see, and original labels on them too. All that. That's pretty great stuff.
Yeah, the 202 I actually found, and it had been fired, but you could tell by the condition it has not been ran very much at all. And it came with the box. It still had all the cardboard packing from the factory and everything around it. So while it is a 1963 model lantern, somebody took just insanely good care of it.
Really did. I mean, I've seen this one several times, and every time I see it, I'm just more stunned because it's like you can't even see a swirl mark in the nickel. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy how good that looks. Whoops, I'm getting leafed to death here. So, so what really got you started in all this Coleman stuff?
What got me kind of started is I knew a mutual friend that had some lanterns and stuff, and I'd see him post one every now and then. And then I was back home at Mom and Dad's one holiday season, and we're going through the old house, and I run across Dad's old lanterns that we used when we went camping when I was young. And I asked my dad if I could take those lanterns because I knew I had somebody that could help me get them going, because at the time I didn't know the first thing about them. Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to do anything with them, so you might as well. And so I took them. Then I met up with a buddy of mine, and that's when I saw the first collection of Coleman.
Right.
And of course, at that point, all I ever really knew was the red single mantle and the green double mantle. And then I see his just massive collection of Sears and nickel-plated lanterns and everything else, and it spiraled out of control from there.
Yeah, it's amazing. So many people don't really know how wide and varied the Coleman product line actually was.
Yes. And these 50s and 60s are really newer stuff in my collection compared to a lot of stuff that I have focused on, because I've got a lot of 1920s and 30s era that is probably the heart of my collection at this point.
Okay. So what's next on the list for Johnny? Anything special that you're looking for?
I really don't know. It's just I have gotten a lot more picky about what I grab, but if it's a 1920s era anything, I'm probably going to grab it, because I really like something about it that's just super neat to me is to take something that is 100 years old in some cases on these, take them apart, get them cleaned up, and get them going again and use them as they were intended 100 years ago, and see that they still work just as good now as they did then.
That is one of the parts that also is like a big thing for me, because I really enjoy the fact of like taking something that was probably destined for the dustbin of history, right? And it was just going to get thrown away like everyday trash, but it's like they're so useful. I mean, I've got a great example of that. I've got a table lamp that sits on my back porch that we use every winter, because in Texas it's hot, right? So wintertime we get a chance to use it. And it's from 1926, and it just runs just as good as it ever did.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a really cool part of the hobby.
And for instance, like if we do have the rare, really cold snaps in emergency situations, if I lose power, well, my house is all electric. Well, I have a 1929 hot ray that works beautifully and throws out good heat. I've got a 1929 Model 5 radiant heater that I've fully restored, and it throws out really good heat. And then I've got a Model 16 that's probably mid-1930s, and if I need them for emergency heat and a cold power outage or something, I can still keep the house warm.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Funny story, I work from home frequently, and we had a lot of rain come through recently. You experienced that too, and it knocked the power out of our house for 4 hours, and pretty much right over lunchtime. So we're trying to have some lunch, and so I took a picture of us heating up everything, because I brought one of the Coleman suitcase stoves out in the back, and kind of sent a note to my boss, and it says, well, you've heard of the power lunch. I says, this is the no power lunch. So it worked out really good. Well, hey, Johnny, I really appreciate you bringing these two beautiful examples out for us, and getting a chance to share with the viewers here. So thanks a bunch. Really appreciate it.